Okay. So finally jumping into Splunk, right? So Splunk, we yesterday we spoke all about SIM, how it works, how the data gets processed, right? Right from the logs, at the end result is our alerts, right? So how does this all happen is what we got to know yesterday, right? So it was about SIEM. So our Splunk is one of the SIEM tools like your QRadar, your Logarithm, Sentinel, right? Sumo Logic, right? So there are plenty, and definitely Splunk is one of them. Splunk is the name of the company. All right, it is the name of the company, and their product is also called Splunk. There is a nice story how they got about this name. Just telling to you know ease things. So anybody knows? Anybody knows why is it called Splunk?
No.
So in my previous class, when I asked the same, this was the freshers batch, right? So they were like, it is spam plus junk. That's why it's called Splunk. I was like, that's a new way of looking into it. But no, that's not the answer. So Splunk actually was, when these people go, hiking, not hiking, actually cave exploration, right? When you go to cave exploration, get in, I mean, they try to explore one cave into the other. The whole process of deep diving or exploring, right? That's called splunking. So even your Splunk is a huge, it has a lot of logs, right? And we have to go exploring, we have to go deep drilling into the logs. So that's the reason, that's how the name came into being called Splunk. Okay, so when we talk about architecture, like how Splunk works, right? How Splunk works. This is one of the common questions in your interviews, right? Splunk architecture, especially if that organization uses Splunk, right? This is a very common question that they're going to ask you. Can you explain about the Splunk architecture? All right. So for such questions, what you can talk about is what we are going to be discussing today. So as you can see, it's made up of three major components. One is forwarders, indexers, and search head. All right. Your forwarders can be further divided into something called as universal forwarder and heavy forwarder. All right, universal forwarder and heavy forwarder. So let's see how these things look in actual. All right, so and I want all of you to do this like an activity or whatever you might call it as, right? So not now but later, right? What you need to do is go to splunk.com. Please click on free Splunk, right? It's going to give you a pop-up wherein it asks you to register. So given the details, it'll ask you for a mobile number and stuff as well, right? Given all the details and register yourself. Where? In splunk.com. Is that clear?
Okay.
Yes. No,
Okay.
maybe
Yes,
anything.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Please, guys, go over here. It's splunk.com. Okay. Now, later, right? Click on free Splunk. It is going to give you a pop-up for registration, signing up, right? Fill in the form. You'll have to set up a user ID password, right? And then click on free Splunk. You will get this page. All right. It says free trial and downloads when you click on free Splunk once you've logged in, like how I have logged in, right? I can see free Splunk. So once you click on that, you will get couple of downloads. Okay, so do you see something called Splunk Universal Forwarder?
Yes.
Yeah, so if I click on download now, you don't have to download it. I'm just showing, okay, I think I've logged out. Okay, so see, this is what you get. Start your free download, right? So it'll ask you to fill up this form.
Shruti?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I tried to download the software yesterday itself. While registering, I'm getting error. I tried even multiple times. I just
Uh,
pinged you the
huh.
comment of what I get
On which machine, sorry?
on my laptop.
On your laptop. Sorry, I don't know who I'm speaking with. Who
Yeah,
is
this is
this?
Muhammad Ali.
You're the one who have sent a message in the group, is it? Sorry, I noticed
Oh,
now.
yes, yes, correct.
Okay, is it an office laptop?
No, no, this is my personal laptop.
Personal laptop? How come suspended your access? Is this the first time you're trying to install?
Yes.
Due to US export compliance requirements. One thing, can you tell me which location are you at?
I'm in India.
India. How is this even possible? What did you download, by the way?
Yeah, I tried for enterprise.
Enterprise.
Yes.
Enterprise what? In enterprise for Windows?
Ah, yes, you're right. No, I
Okay.
did not get this page. When I tried to download the software, it asked me to register my name, the
Uh-huh.
login details and all.
Okay.
I gave everything. When I submit, I'm getting this error.
Oh, as soon as you submit, is it?
Yes.
Okay. We'll check that towards the end of the class. Can you please remind me?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. We will check why are we getting that. So coming back, all right, I told you there are two components to forwarders. One is called universal forwarder, one is called heavy forwarder. So if you see how a universal forwarder looks like, it is just this. Splunk universal forwarder, if I select Windows, it's a very small file, 60 MB, around, 65 MB on an average if you take different flavors, right? It's hardly that, a small piece of software. So whichever OS that you have, you can download that particular agent. So since yesterday I've been telling agent, right? We'll install agents. So this is how an agent looks like. A Splunk agent looks like. So instead of calling it an agent going forward, we will be calling it as Splunk Universal Forwarder. That clear? We will be calling it as Splunk Universal Forwarder. And what is the job of this forwarder? What was the first step in SIM? What is the first step that when the data gets processed? Was it the first step?
Collection of
Collection. How about others?
Collection.
Do we need to download free trial? Please wait. I'm going to tell you everything, Banu. Just give it some time. Once I complete explaining, then I'll tell you what to download, when to download. Okay. So yeah, Pooja, Kavya, Saeed.
Yes, ma'am.
First step,
To collect the log and forwards.
Collection of logs.
collection of logs, right? The very first, when you think about Big Bazaar, the first thing is all the vendors coming in, dropping in the items, right? So that is what collection, absolutely. So when you have to collect, right? I told you we use something called agents, right? When you have to collect from different sources, we have to use something called agents. So if you see here, there are a lot of things, right? We have log files, configuration, messages, alerts, matrices, scripts, changes, tickets, blah blah, lot of things, right? So if I have to collect all of the logs from various devices, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to install a forwarder. Do you see the small green symbol? Yeah, no,
yes, yes,
can't
we can
see.
say.
Can see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is how a forwarder is depicted. All right. This is when you see the symbol, right? This is how a forwarder is depicted. So what are they actually trying to say? That they're trying to say that we have installed the agents on these machines, right? That is our universal, or it could be either universal or heavy forwarder. All right. They install this on the machines wherever possible. All right. Otherwise, there is also a different way of getting the logs that is called as APIs. Okay. API. What is API?
Application programming interface.
Wow, thank you. Can you please explain what is API? The ones from computer science background. If you guys can make it very simple and explain what is API.
It is
I'm
a
not,
Interface program it is a.
Okay.
I'm not from computer science, but I'll try to tell of what
Yes,
it is.
yes,
Right.
please. Yes, please.
It is a application program interface in the sense like you are collecting the data from other applications.
Very
You are
good.
interacting with the other application, so you need some kind of keys.
Interface.
Yeah.
Correct. So absolutely right. So I'll give you an example. So I've logged into Splunk.com. All right. So if you see here, there are very small links, right? If I click on this link, it will take to Splunk's Twitter page. This will take to Splunk's LinkedIn page, right? So even these are small APIs. That means Splunk is different, our Twitter is different, our LinkedIn is different, right? But there has to be some connection wherein if I just click on this, right, it takes me to Splunk's Twitter page or Splunk's LinkedIn page, right? It is one of the very small example. So what happens is when two applications, let's say this is a Splunk application. All right, Splunk app is whatever you saw over here, right? This is my Splunk. What's happening? Something's not right. Delay. Give me a second. I'm not able to click anything, so what happened? What happened? Just wrong. Okay, I don't know, something's wrong. Figure that out. Okay, so what was I saying? Huh. So if I click on the LinkedIn page, right? It will take us to the Splunk's LinkedIn page, right? Not just LinkedIn, it will go to Splunk's LinkedIn page. So what is happening here? What is happening here? For me to get Splunk's LinkedIn page, not a generic LinkedIn page, right? So it queries the LinkedIn. When I say query, it is just a request, right? To a LinkedIn, to the LinkedIn saying, I want to fetch this particular page itself. That is the query, right? So, simple example, we were talking about Splunk, right? So let's say my Splunk has to contact, let's say some monitoring tool, all right, called XYZ, called X. Okay, my Splunk has to contact a particular tool to get the logs. All right, to get the logs. So I will not be able to install the agent over here. So what do? I use something called as API. API is nothing but in the backend, right? It is nothing but small queries. These are very small queries, piece of code, all right, which if I use will get me the details, whatever is asked in the query. Okay, let's say in the query, when I say query, it is nothing but you can think of it like a small piece of code, you can think of it as a small piece of code, all right? small piece of code. All right. When I send that query to the application understands, okay, this particular person is asking for this particular data. Probably, that the API call, it is called calling a API. It is called calling, calling. You call a person, right? So calling an API, right? So when you call that API, let's say that piece of code, that API, right? Whichever is behind this, right? So that query or the code probably fetches the people who have logged into this particular console. It is a query only to fetch people who have logged into this tool. All right. So I pick up that API, okay, that piece of code. All right. I add it. All right. So when I send the request, the tool understands, hey, this is only to fetch the user who had logged in details. I mean, the access logs, whoever logged in, whoever failed to log in, right? And I will send only that information. Okay, that is called, that is very simple example of what a API is, how a API is called. Okay, nothing but a query which gives you a set of information only. I'm not getting all the logs. No, there's only one simple call which I'm making, all right, to get some particular data onto my Splunk. Yes, no? Understood? Any doubts? You guys can hear me, right?
Yes, yes.
No,
So,
only in this case, Deepak, only in this case, we are using API to collect the log. That is also another way of getting the log. Not only installing the forwarders, but also using the API calls. Right? Not, I didn't tell it in a very generic manner. I told in with respect. Oh my God, sorry. I told with respect to Splunk. In Splunk, we use API calls to fetch the logs. Okay. Yeah. Uh, something.
Yeah, it's okay.
so basically, agent is responsible for that, right?
No, you don't have to have an agent at all. That's what I'm saying, right? You see,
Forwarder.
do you see the green mark here for these two?
Yeah.
You don't see the green mark at all, right? That means you don't have to install. If you install an agent will do the job. It will monitor, it will forward. But in cases where you can't get the agent, we use API calls. So actually, you don't have to worry too much about it, because to get this information, we need to have that particular tool. And let's say this is some tool, all right, which is, it is a tool from Microsoft. All right, I'm just giving an example. All right, so we have to look in for the documentation, API documentation from Microsoft. All right, then we have to try calling it. Or else there is something called as apps. There is something called as apps in Splunk. All right, if you notice here, I will tell you. You see apps like how you have on your mobile phone, right? You have multiple apps. Why do you have multiple apps? To use, various things, various other what you call services, right? Very much similar over here also. You can add those apps. All right, for example, I'll click on find more apps. Okay, I'm just going to click on find more apps, and you got to have that app. You've got to use that. There's something very wrong with my system. So let's say, oh, hello, is it playing music? Nice music, thank you. People who were sleeping might have got up. So let's think that in your organization, you might use Qualys. All right. What is Qualys? Anybody, you guys are aware of Qualys?
VA,
What is Qualys?
vulnerability assessment, right?
Yes. So
Tool.
Qualys, the tool is,
Scanner.
yeah. So Qualys is a tool which is used to scan the systems. Why are we scanning systems or servers, whatever? We use scanners or these tools which scan the servers, or let me just talk it as tell that as endpoints, right? So when they scan for vulnerability so that we know what is that server vulnerable to, correct? So if at all you're using Qualys and you want to fetch the information from Qualys, something's wrong. Something is wrong. What is happening? I don't know what is happening. Okay, anyway. All right. Can you guys just give me a minute? I'll quickly fix this and get back. Is that okay? Can you just guys give me a minute?
Okay.
Very sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
sure.
Yes, sir, no
yeah,
problem.
thanks. By the way, just because I'm silent doesn't mean you guys have to be silent. Please talk among yourself. I told you you guys have to interact, right? So feel free to talk among yourselves. There's a reason why I've unmute. I mean, I've left mic for all of you. So I'll be back in a minute.
Hello everyone.
Hi, Ravi.
Uh,
Hi.
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 Hello. Hi.
So is there anyone who got any offer yet?
Of what?
Uh,
Sorry.
now,
We wish we can have, but we don't have any hands-on experience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anybody attended an interview?
Come on.
Hi, I have a question. Few of them from our batch has given the real interviews, right? And how do you feel like
Yes.
face any different
We don't
questions
have hands-on
apart from the
experience.
Actually I had an interview day before yesterday, okay, and it was the first round and it went very well. Okay, and yesterday it was a second round, but I don't know why he mocked me yesterday at the time of interview because day before yesterday there were four panel members in the interview, okay, and all four was happy with me. And yesterday there was a single guy on the call, Teams call, okay, and he was like that you are not preparing and you are not looking serious to me, these kind of words, and the way you are going through, I don't think that you will crack or anything, something like that. I don't know that he was checking my attitude or something, but yeah, he demotivated me yesterday a lot on the call.
Yeah, maybe some people might be there like that.
Yeah,
So
but I was shocked yesterday
it's so
because just
strange
day
actually.
before yesterday, four members were there and all four were happy. But yesterday it was a single guy and he said things like that to me.
So is he from that among four of them?
No, 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 no.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the QA section?
Sorry.
No, you you got an experience like an words from them, right? So how about the answers? Did they satisfied about that, or it's about beyond that?
Uh, the guy who took my interview yesterday, he was not satisfied. Okay, and there were only three questions whose answers was wrong. Okay, not wrong. Actually, I was not aware about those questions, so I simply said that sorry, sir, or either I am not sure that it's the answer or not. But day before yesterday, all four panel members were satisfied and they were happy with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
what type of questions do you faced on yesterday's interview, bro? Like the
Um,
person who didn't satisfied about your answers.
Actually, the I know only those questions where I was not sure. Okay, and one of the question was on which layer DOS and DDoS attack happen. Okay, and give me a moment. And another question was related to the SPF records. Okay, that what are the SPF records and which record stands for what thing and what's the purpose of that specific record. Okay, and like protocols related like Wi-Fi protocol. Okay, and these are the two three questions where like I missed to answer. Actually, the interview was for around 45 to 50 minutes yesterday.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
too long.
yeah, yeah.
I hope we will get it. All the best. I mean, thank you for all of us.
I am also hoping same because that yesterday guy was different. And let's see what will happen.
Is there anyone attended other interviews? I mean,
Yeah, if there is someone who faced any interview, then please share your
What is the company name?
experience.
You will be prepared in future.
Sorry, and there is so much noise in background as well. Can you please repeat?
Yeah, I'm telling that what is the company's name? Yesterday's name.
Bro, I am not hearing you. Can you please write?
no, there's too much noise, bro.
someone
Yeah.
is taking bath. So much background noise. He was asking what is. Is there anyone willing to share?
Yeah, Avinash, sorry, but I don't want to share the name of the company.
Okay, no issues, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Hi everyone. Like, how are you applying for the jobs? I have tried in Naukri, LinkedIn, everywhere. Like, I didn't get any call back. So, how are you guys doing with that?
Same actually.
Same, we are using same algo. Yeah.
Nobody goes
Same
back.
here, yeah.
Upload your CV every day. This is what I
I mean,
do.
I think we need to peek into company's portal and upload, I think. Right.
Hi guys. Actually, in Naukri, if you're applying after filling the details,
Hmm.
daily you have to edit something. Daily, within 24
Yeah,
hours, if
daily we
you
need
edit
to
something,
update.
so that yeah, something or something. If you written SOC expert, just edit it and then write again SOC expert, so that it will be highlighted in the HR recruiters portal and all. So you will get the calls through Naukri.
I didn't get.
And
Could you
also,
come up again? Could you like what do we do?
in
What do we need to do?
profile in your profile, Naukri profile.
Yeah.
After uploading your CV and filling your details, skills, education, and all, so daily you
Okay.
have to edit something or something. So that
Okay.
is a cheat in Naukri.
Oh.
What will
Yeah,
be
it
thinking?
shows
Just
that your profile
upload
is
the
getting updated regularly. So you are on top of the
yeah
updated profile.
yeah. That was I want to say.
Okay, thanks. We'll think.
In Naukri it was like that. LinkedIn I'm not sure about it.
Uh, Also, guys, I think it's good to have your CV reviewed before applying because you might get suggestions on improving by adding some keywords or highlighting your skills as such. So if the chances of getting calls increase, right, when you improve the CV.
Hello.
Yeah. That may be helpful actually. We should
Yeah,
try.
definitely it will help.
Yeah, because I got my CV reviewed yesterday,
What is
and
it?
the cyber genie was really helpful, and yeah, the feedback was actually very helpful, and it really made sense.
Oh, okay. It is good actually. So, do we need to fill all these SOC Splunk things because we are new to this, right? So,
I suggest you add Splunk because you upload your CV and you don't get the call right away. So by the time you get the interview call and your interview is scheduled, you'll have the classes on Splunk and you'll have at least basics of Splunk, right? or you can just add understanding of Splunk. And if you're a fresher or this is your first job with cybersecurity, I think expectations will be reasonable as well.
Oh, okay. We'll put a CV review.
Yeah.
So when you put a CV review, would they call or just like feedback on a text in a text
No,
call?
you get a call. You get a call.
Okay.
Right. Sorry, very sorry to keep you guys waiting. But meanwhile, I asked you guys to log into or register in Splunk.com. Were you able to? Or anybody getting
Okay.
same error?
It is asking cloud trial and software download. Which one we should try?
I don't know. First, just register. Are you able to register? Download. Let's.
Yeah. Yeah, Stuti, I was able to register successfully.
Actually,
I
downloaded
downloaded.
the software.
Software. Yeah,
Uh,
software download.
It says it's premature.
Can you share the screenshot, please, of what the error is? Software download should be fine. But I hope you guys are not getting any other error. Because couple of you have posted, saying that it's some US compliance, you're not able to export the software. That's what it says for few of you. So
Yeah, Shruti, actually that issue was resolved by itself.
I'm sorry.
The
The
issue
issue?
resolved by itself. Yes.
Oh, the issue resolved by itself. Okay, okay. How about, I think there was one more, there's someone else also facing the issue, right? Was
Yes,
it
ma'am.
Ken
Yes,
facing the
ma'am.
issue?
I
Yeah,
have,
so
I have the same issue. The instance is not coming up.
you're still getting the same pop-up, is it?
Yes, ma'am. It says it's going
Uh,
to take like 2 days, 2 business days before it will be rectified.
okay.
Okay? It's telling me that due to US export compliance requirement, Splunk has blocked your access to Splunk website property. We are in
Correct.
the process of reviewing this. I can share this thing.
No, you've already shared
to
it.
the
No,
group.
that's fine. I've got it. I've
Okay.
got it.
Okay, ma'am.
So is it cloud trial? We need to
No, it is
register.
not cloud trial. No, it's software download. And Ruth, that's not the one. Not universal forwarder. Let's not install universal forwarder. I'll tell you why we don't want to install universal forwarder. All right. So, but all of you have signed up, right? Most of you have signed up. If you have signed up, that's okay. That is what we wanted at this point. You've signed up, right?
Am I right?
Yes, Tuti, just signed up.
Okay, cool. This is browsing protection. Lot of trouble for me today. Okay, so if you click on free Splunk, I want all of you to download something called Splunk Enterprise, not Splunk Universal Forwarder. I will tell you why. Okay, not Universal Forwarder. Big no to this. You guys have to install. There's something called Splunk Enterprise, which is 60-day of trial. Please download that. Not now, later, or you can keep it for download and forget it. All right. So, understood, everybody? You have to download the Splunk Enterprise. Okay, and there was a question, Deepak. Is this forwarder agent we will install in all devices like firewall router? Do we? Anybody wants to answer? So yesterday I have already mentioned about this. Anybody able to recall? Can we? Can we? Yes, signed up. Okay. So when it comes to firewall or your router, usually they will dump the logs to syslog and you can pick up the logs from syslog or In firewall, that, yeah, usually we don't, otherwise we have to use like a app which I showed to, okay, app is what I was trying to show. Yeah, or use an app. I'll tell you what is an app later. All right, and then you have to use an app to fetch the logs. Otherwise, ideally, mostly it is your syslog. So you install agent, forwarder agent in all the devices from where you need logs from. But when it comes to your firewall or your network routers and stuff, right? Usually that is being sent to a syslog. You install a agent, the forwarder on the syslog, and then get the logs. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Cool. Uh,
So,
yes.
agent was downloaded. So what should we do? Should we install it or?
Please wait for a
We need
minute.
to download a Splunk Enterprise.
This is Splunk Enterprise. Yeah.
Splunk.
Please do not install. So if you can see my screen, a big
Okay.
note to
Hello.
Universal Forwarder. Do not download Universal Forwarder. Please install Splunk Enterprise, which is 60-day free trial. Okay? Clear? Not clear?
See, it was coming for me like choose your installation package. So I have selected Windows 10, that package MSI.
Yes, yes.
Download now. It is correct. And okay. So it's a Splunk 8.2.5.
8.2, right? Yes, yes, yes,
8.2.5, right?
yes.
So that we
Correct.
have downloaded. So it's for Windows 10, Windows Server 2019.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay.
You're right. So if you click on Splunk Enterprise, right, it will ask you for which OS you want that to be installed on, right? Uh, Depending on what OS you want to run it on, please install that package.
Actually, I have clicked on like in the corner, like free Splunk in the black.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
black?
same. Free Splunk, you'll get Splunk Enterprise and Splunk
Yeah,
Universal
yeah,
Forward.
that only I have downloaded. Okay, fine.
Splunk
So,
Enterprise.
okay, got it. So,
Yes.
how we will get that page? Like, Splunk server? Where? What will be the Splunk server in this case?
Let us go step by step, please. I've not
Okay,
even told you guys about the whole, the architecture.
okay, no
Right.
problem.
So I just asked you guys to install now because I was running late. That's all.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, fine. Then continue. I think
Yeah.
maybe all done now.
Yes. Okay. So we'll continue. Now you know what to install. Okay. So let me share the screen. Uh, okay. So what did I say? There are two types of forwarders, right? Two types of forwarders. One was universal and one is called as a heavy forwarder. All right. So universal forwarder, the job of the universal forwarder, why did I ask you not to install universal forwarder, is because if you just see here, what does it say about the universal forwarder? It says, collects the data from various sources, all right, and sends it to Splunk deployment, right? Its job is to just collect the logs and forward the logs. So what happens if you install a Splunk universal forwarder on your system? Of course, it will be able to it will be able to monitor the logs. It can collect the logs. But where will it push to? Where will it send the logs to? Yeah? Where will it send the logs to? It has to deliver it somewhere, right?
Okay,
So
enterprise.
if we install a universal forwarder, that will not help us. Why? On your systems, I'm talking only about your systems right now. Okay, why? Because the job of the universal forwarder is like our delivery agent. What delivery? Like your Amazon, right? Like your food delivery, right? So what do those people do? you select the products, you push it in a cart, right? You say, then you give the delivery address, and then that person is going to pick up everything and then come drop it off at your house. Yes or no? As simple as that, right? It's just a delivery agent. It could be your Amazon delivery or your Swiggy. Swiggy is a food app in India, right? So you select the items from the menu from that particular restaurant, right? What does the delivery person go and do? That person will go to the restaurant, pick up your order. You would have mentioned a delivery address. They will come and drop it off. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So as similar to that is your universal forwarder. So to your universal forwarder, what you tell is nothing but what to monitor, what is the log that I want. I want logs from this Windows machine. I want all the Windows security logs. I'm just giving an example. So I'll tell this universal forwarder, I want only the Windows security logs, get those logs, and then push it to indexer. Push it to indexer, or it can also push it to heavy forwarder. We'll come back to that later. All right, but for now we'll understand it will push it to the indexer. All right, so what will I give? I'll give the indexer's IP, that is the delivery address, and your menu or whatever you shop in Amazon, right? That will be your monitoring, what all you want to monitor. So you tell universal forwarder what you want to monitor. It will monitor those. Then you have mentioned the delivery address. It will just take all those logs and dump it.
So in indexer is like a collector, right?
Yeah, we'll come to that. But did you guys understand what a universal forwarder is?
Yes, ma'am.
This just its job is to just collect the data and forward the data. Do you see anything else apart from that here? Anything else
No,
apart from that what a Splunk universal forwarder does?
no.
No, it is just like your delivery agent. All right, so that is universal forwarder. That is heavy forwarder. What is a heavy forwarder? I don't see any heavy forwarder here. Where is the heavy forwarder?
Must be enterprise application.
Absolutely. Okay, so universal forwarder is your agent, right? It is the agent. Henceforth, we'll be calling it as universal forwarder itself. From whichever device you want the logs from, you can just install this piece of software and get the logs. But its job is to forward the logs also, right? It will forward the logs, correct? So if you see, there's nothing called heavy forwarder. So what you see here, which says Splunk Enterprise, and when you click on free, whatever, when you click on the download, right? Let's see the description for Splunk Enterprise. What does it say? Index the data. It is going to index, right? And nothing much. It is going to index. That is what is given here, right? So what does this mean basically? So once the logs are, monitored, once it is forwarded, it is going to be dropped at the indexer. It is going to be dropped at the indexer, either from heavy forwarder or universal forwarder. Everything will be forwarded to something called as indexers. The only difference between universal forwarder and heavy forwarder is universal, just like your delivery agent, nothing more. Your heavy forwarder does some extra job, that is parsing. What is parsing? What is parsing?
Formatting,
Mapping the data.
normalization.
Mapping the data, you're chopping the
On
data
board
and you're
this
mapping.
data,
You're filtering out the data. You're
board
Shorting the
mapping the data.
data,
Correct?
brought it into understandable form.
Yeah, parsing is nothing but you're mapping the fields. Yes, understandable way. Yes, right. You're chopping off the unwanted data, whatever you do not want, right? You're removing that and you're getting rest of the logs, right? You're doing the parsing. So it is not only just monitoring the log, it has the ability to parse the log and then it will forward the logs to indexer. All right. It
So
will then
indexer is
forward the.
basically storage.
I'm sorry.
Is indexer something like a storage?
Yeah, yeah, we'll come to that. So everything, once the log is collected from your collection, the first step, you can either use a universal forwarder or a heavy forwarder. If you use a heavy forwarder, you can also parse the data. All right. Then everything is pushed to indexers. So yesterday I showed you a symbol. I hope you guys can remember the symbol. What is the symbol?
Database.
What the
Database.
database, right? Yes, it's database. What does database do?
Basically, it stores
Stores.
the data.
Very clear. Yes, that's right. So it stores the data. So what is happening here? Once the collection is done, you're going to store the data. You're just going to store the data. But it is not as simple as just storing the data, right? Let's say we have got the logs from the universal forwarder. So when I get the logs from universal forwarder, there is no parsing, there is no normalizing of the data, right? So in such cases, the indexer has the capability to normalize the data, parse the data, and then index the data. What does it do? Normalize, parse, and index the data. When I say index the data, indexing is nothing but, before writing it into disk, that means before storing it somewhere, right? It is going to give it a name. Like how we are all given a name and we are identified by that name, very much similar, right? To that, it will name those logs and then it is going to store it. For example, what I will do is, where was my, please don't tell me it's an issue now. It was just working fine. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so
Stuti,
yes.
in heavy forwarder, it's already parsing and normalization now, and the data will be sent to index now. Then again, it will be index and parsing. Parsing will happen.
No. So if your heavy forwarder does the parsing, your indexer will just write the data.
Okay.
I'll come to that. I wanted to show you guys how it looks like. So that's the only reason. Give me one quick minute. Wait, till that comes up. It's only today. Okay. So there's our Splunk, right? So what did we see yesterday? As soon as we added the data, right? As soon as we added the data, it was able to parse it, right? Normalize it, put it in a proper template. So don't worry about whatever I'm doing. I just want to show you guys the logs. That's the only reason I'm showing this. Okay. So if you notice something called index over here, do you see it says network, main, web server, FTP? Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, you see
Yes.
these things, isn't it? So, sorry, I did not get a few. Okay, so these are nothing but the index, the name that is the indexer has given. So let's say I'm getting all the logs from some network device. Let's say it's all firewall logs. All right. I'm getting all the firewall logs from the universal forwarder, right? And I'm dumping it to the indexer. So what my indexer does, it will normalize the data, it will parse the data, and it will tag all the logs from firewall as network. It can give any name that it wants. Why is it giving a name? We saw the example in Big Bazaar, right? In the retail outlet. So every aisle, every rack, or every row was given a name, that this row is only for clothing, this row is only for stationery. Why are we naming? We are naming so that we identify it easily, right? When we have to go search that particular thing, search that particular item, we have to know the aisle name. Okay, it says it is stationery. I am going to go search for the things in this particular aisle, in this particular row. Are you understanding? Yes, no, at least in the group, if you guys can answer, I can either go ahead or I can repeat.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Yeah?
Repeat, ma'am.
Okay, I will repeat.
Repeat.
Thank you. Please ask me to repeat if you don't understand.
Repeat.
Thank you. Yes. So, what happens? We have got the logs, right? Let's talk only about universal forwarder now. Okay. So now the universal forwarder, what it has done, it has collected the logs. It has collected the logs from, let's say, from some syslog server where it has the firewall logs. All right. It has collected. I have told, please drop it into the indexer, the IP, blah, 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 whatever, 10 dot blah, blah, blah IP. All right. So it dumps to indexer. So the job of the indexer before writing, before storing, what does it do? It has to put it in a proper format. So to help us put it in a proper format, what do? We use normalizing, parsing. So your indexer does normalizing, parsing of the data. And once it is all done, it indexes the data. When I say index the data, that means it is writing it to the disk. So before writing it to the disk, it will also name that, it will tag a particular name. Let's say these are all firewall logs. So the name is left to you guys. You can decide what the name has to be. Okay. This is not something indexer decides on its own. No, you can give it a name. All right. So once it gets all the logs, once the logs are normalized and parsed, it asks you to select, sorry, it will ask you to select the index. That means the name, clothing, wardrobe, stationery, whatever. What is that name that you want to give to identify this log? So I'm getting logs from the firewall. So what name do you want to give? Whether you want to give network, whether you want to give firewall logs, it's all left to you. Okay, so it is going to ask and you're going to name it. And once you give the name, right, once you tag a particular name, then it will go write it into the database or the disk, whatever you call it as. It is going to store the data. So before storing the data, it will just label that data. Why
So
is
is
it
it
labeling? For us to
curiosity?
understand, give me a second, for us to understand what kind of a log it is. So if I have to search, I can easily say index is equal to network. I can just say index is equal to network and I will get all the firewall logs or whatever. This is the DNS log. I'm just giving an example. Depends on what an organization is named as. All right, so if I do index is equal to network, let's say the DNS logs are stored in network, in the name as network. So I'll get all the logs from index is equal to network. I'll get all the logs. So give me 1 second. I'll finish this and then I'll take questions. All right, so to show that to you guys, we will add the data again today. You will understand the whole process properly. Okay, so what am I doing? First step is collecting, right? So I'm going to add data. I'm going to say upload the data. All right, the same thing what we did yesterday, right? Select the file. Okay, I'm going to go next. It says set the source type. So I did not pick up a source type. It has automatically picked up the source type, right? The data is normalized, parsed, everything is done. Fair enough. What did I say the next part? Next part is indexing, right? So when we go next, you will understand that. Forget about this, I'll come to that. But do you see index here? Do you see index over here?
Yes.
You guys are very, very silent. Either you're understanding everything or you're not understanding anything. So, uh, index, right? It is asking me to select the index. What is this? These are just names. If I click on create a new index, it is just a name. I can give any name I want. I can give ABC, XYZ, but I should know what is stored in ABC, XYZ. If I give this name and say OK, right? Next time when I select that particular index ABC XYZ, I should know that my DNS logs are stored there. These are the DNS logs, right? These are the DNS logs, source, destination, right? What is the, where is it? Where is the, these are DNS logs. Okay, anyway, I have already cut it short. Okay, so these are actually the DNS logs. All right, so it will tell me that if you do index is equal to abcxyz, that is what you have named, you will get these logs. You will get these logs. If I have to find these logs, I have to give index is equal to abcxyz, then I will get details of these logs. All right, so that is why your index, what does your indexer do? After normalizing and parsing, it is going to label that particular data, and then it is going to store it in the disk. It is going to store it in the disk. It is going to write that data. It is going to store the data in the database, right? So a very simple example, if you would want to take, let's say you're shifting your house, all right? You're moving to a different house. So when you're moving, you will have these, definitely you'll have these big packaging boxes, right? So from your old house, let's say from the living room, you're going to dump all the things from your living room, put it in a huge box, and you're going to label it as living room items or stuff from living room. And when you move to a new house, right, when you're unpacking stuff, when you're setting up your new home, you will go, if you're setting up a living room, you will go get this box which is labeled as living room stuff, and then you're going to unpack it and get the things out for that. Yes or no? Isn't that how we do?
Correct.
That is exactly the same. So you can name it as living room, you can name it as drawing room, you can name it as recreation, anything. The naming is left to you as long as you guys understand. You can even name it as kitchen, I don't mind, but there is already another kitchen, so there will be a confusion, right? So you can choose any name that you want, but you should know what you have labeled it as.
Maybe we can keep it, keep the name on, like on the name of the device.
Yeah, so device, I'll come back to the device later because there's another field which talks about the device. So if you have noticed over here, if I go to next, right, there is something called as host. So host is nothing but your device. All right, so the host, the value host will already give you the name of the device. So since we're talking only about indexing part, index, what is an index? I'm just telling you that you can give any name that you want, any label that you want, and then it goes ahead and stores the data.
So here, like you are uploading the data, like so we are like manually uploading the data, but in the real scenario, like everything will be set up and the data will come automatically to Splunk, right?
Yes, and we will we will install heavy forwarders, and I'll show you how it is done as well. I will show you how it is done. Practically, we'll see that. Okay. This is, I'm explaining only because I want you guys to understand the architecture properly. Okay, once we understand the architecture, I will tell you how to install. All right.
Yes, yes, right.
Okay, so where were we now? We have forwarded the logs. We have the indexer. The indexer has received the logs, okay, either from universal or heavy forwarder. So if it is from heavy forwarder, it doesn't actually, parse the data, right? It will just go ahead, index the data. That means it will give it a name, all right, and it will store the data. So if you see here, this is all single direction arrow. It's all one way arrow, right? It's all one way arrow. That means everything is being sent to the indexer. Now the data is stored in indexer. We have everything in indexer, right? Everything is there. What is the next step that we have to do, guys? As analysts, what do we have to do?
Search and write the queries as per the need.
Yes. So as analysts, we are here, right? So as analysts, what are we going to do? We are going to search. We are going to search for something suspicious. We're going to analyze the data. We're going to write the rules, create alerts, dashboards, blah, 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 a lot of things. So to do that, we need some kind of an interface, right? That is your search head. That is your search head. So what does your search head do? You write all the queries in your search head. So whatever I'm showing you now is the search head. Whatever I'm showing you now is the search head. So whatever you search, right? Uh, Sorry. Whatever you search, you can. What is happening clearly? Thing is wrong. Okay. Whatever you want to search, you can search. I know, I know. Maybe sticky keys is. Anyway, I'll tell you. Whatever you want to search, the query, right? You have to write the query, enter, right? What will it do in the backend? It is going to go over here to the indexer, right? It's going to fetch the logs from here and give you the result, right? So whatever you want to search, given the query here, hit enter. In the backend, it's going to go hit the indexers. It understands the query. It will come back to you with the result. Got it? That is what a search head does. All right, so three major components. One is forwarding the data. One is indexer, and one is search head. One is search head, right? Three major components. FI said fish. Three major components. For forwarders, you have two, universal and heavy. Universal forwarders are basically agents, right? Universal forwarder is like your, Amazon delivery guy. The person will just pick up whatever the things that you have asked him to pick up, collect it, and send it to your house or deliver it to your house. Your house is where you'll be storing all the data, right? Indexer does normalizing, parsing, and indexing. So indexing is nothing but storing the data, writing it into disk. But before you write it, you're just going to label it and then you're going to store the data. You have something called as a heavy forwarder, which performs normalizing and parsing, right? So if you're getting the logs from heavy forwarder, when it is already parsed the data, the indexer will just go ahead straight away and store the data. So once the data is all stored, right, we use search heads to query that data and fetch the information. So that's why if you notice over here, there are two-way arrows. Why? Because your search heads talk to your Splunk indexers. They fetch the data and they retrieve the data back to you guys. Are we clear here? Will heavy forwarder do the same work? It will do the same work as your universal forwarder with some extra responsibility called parsing. Parsing is an extra responsibility. What a heavy forwarder can do. It is can do. It is what you have to configure if you want it. Otherwise, it will just act like a normal universal forwarder itself.
Is there any other thing other than parsing heavy forwarders?
You mean to say any other responsibility what a heavy forwarder does, or a component
Yeah,
you're talking about?
I mean, like other than parsing and normalization, any other features of heavy forwarder? Okay.
No, pretty much that's it. You can what you call it will depending on how you configure the heavy forwarder, right? You can also there is what you call, you can restrict the amount of data flow to the indexer. So that
Okay.
is not something we want to get into right now. So I'm just explaining it in a very brief way. It also does normalizing and parsing.
Okay, fine. Because it names as a heavy, so I'm just thinking.
Yeah. So extra added responsibilities plus it also it can also help you in the data flow. The flow of data can also be managed using a heavy forwarder. All right, so all of that is done from a heavy forwarder sends to the indexer. So is everybody clear till here? Splunk architecture is a one question that could be asked in your interviews. Are we clear here?
So the indexer will do normalizing, browsing, and what about the I stands for? And save the data in database before that.
I is it?
Yeah.
Indexing. Indexing is nothing but writing the data, and before it writes the data, it labels the data. Index page. In your books, you have an index page, right? So what
Yeah.
does this index page tell you? Which page number, what details is, correct?
Yes.
So very much similar to that, it is just going to give that particular name so that when I'm searching, if I say index is equal to firewall, it knows, hey, okay, I have to go fetch from this particular index called firewall. I'm going to fetch only these logs. Okay, that's why that is what indexing is. So is it clear till here? So Sai Madhu, naming all firewall logs as network. So like I said, naming, you can do the naming ceremony. You can name whatever logs by whatever name you want. Okay, you can name it
No,
as
no. My
network.
question is like we already get logs from heavy forwarder. So already it did like normalization and parsing. So when it comes to indexer, will it do index for the data which comes from heavy forwarder?
Your voice was breaking, but see, I think I got your point. So normalizing and parsing is done, but indexing is done only by indexer. Indexer is the only one which does the indexing. Your heavy forwarder does not do the indexing, right?
Okay, it will
Heavy
just do
forwarder does only
normalization and
normalizing
parsing,
and
right?
parsing.
Okay, okay,
Yes.
got it.
And that too, it has the capability to do it. It is not
Okay,
that it will do every time. It has the capability to do it.
okay, okay,
You guys have to configure it that way.
okay.
Okay. So is this
Hello,
understood?
But if we
hello.
install heavy forwarder,
Yeah.
it will be huge like weight on system, right?
Not really, not really. So that's the reason what happens is most of the places you install universal forwarders, you forward the data. But in some cases wherein you want to parse the data before sending it to indexers. I'll tell you why we do that. Okay, in such cases, right, you can use heavy forwarder. All right, you can use a heavy forwarder and then send it to indexer.
Hello, Stuti.
Yes.
Yeah. In the forwarder, you only collect the raw data from various devices.
Yes. 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 It's all raw data that we are dealing with. Yes.
Okay, send to indexer. Okay, then search hits. Okay.
So the search heads are only the interface, right, to fetch the data and query from the
Yes,
indexer
that's
database.
yes, that's right.
Okay, so it doesn't involve any in any of the data collection or parsing states. It to query the data from the database. It's like a search bar for the Google. Is
Correct.
that right?
Yes,
What I've
exactly.
understood?
Yes.
Okay,
So
okay, thank you.
we use this something called as search processing language, SPL, right? So you use SQL, right, to query your databases. So very much similar.
Yeah.
It is very simple search queries, all right, that
Mhm.
is used to query the indexers, I mean the database.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So anything that I missed? Let me check the chart. What database does the Splunk use? So it is not like see, it is a storage, all right. So it is a storage. It depends on your organization, all right. It depends on your own organization what you set it up as, right. You can also add an extra storage space to your server on which you are installing a indexer, right? So internally for a few of these things, I think it uses MongoDB, all right, because I remember there were few queries that was used, but no database as such that is being used with which comes along with Splunk. So it depends on your organization. What is that storage that you want to have? So indexer, when you install indexer on a particular server, right? Your server comes with some space, right? Your server comes with a space. So it utilizes that space to store the data. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so if indexers itself are doing and okay, normalizing, parsing, indexing, then why we are using heavy forwarders? Why will we use heavy forwarders? We will use heavy forwarders because, like the name suggests, to forward the data, to forward the data. And I will tell you, in some scenarios, you know, I have to talk about licensing part. So I will tell you why heavy forwarder is used, because in Splunk, the license is calculated on the amount of data that is being indexed, the amount of data that you write to the disk, right? That is how the license is calculated. I will tell you how exactly it is calculated further, all right, later part, but not today, all right? You guys have to understand this properly and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so that is how the license is calculated. So let's say, for example, we get lot of data, a hell lot of data is sent to the indexers straight away, all right, and your indexer it is going to index everything. That means I am utilizing more license. So what the heavy forwarder does is, heavy forwarder filters out all of that data. It filters out before even sending it to indexers. Okay, it is going to normalize parts. It is going to filter out whatever that is not needed, and then it sends to the indexer. That way, you are cutting down on little bit of data usage, right? You'll cut a bit on data usage, and when you send it to indexers directly, it will just index whatever is being sent, right? So that
Yes.
way
When are we taking attendance?
yeah, I will. Thank you very much. I will. So I'll just answer Deepak's question and then I will go ahead take the attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So that is a reason why we can use, why we use a heavy forwarder. Is that okay, Deepak? So also what happens, uh,
Yes,
if
you
at
know.
all, let's say
Please.
there are multiple devices, okay, I've installed universal forwarder, universal forwarder, universal forwarder on all these three machines. Then I will place another server or any other, machine. I will get the logs onto this machine from universal forwarder. I will install a heavy forwarder on this. Okay, I will normalize, pass the data, whatever I need. I will, filter out all the data, and from here I can send it to indexer. I can even do that. You can forward the logs from various universal forwarders to heavy forwarders so that you have one space where you can collect everything, parse everything, and then forward it to indexer. I can even do that. Okay, Chandru, we will come to real-time example. Before coming in, we will just understand this architecture. All right, so is everybody clear? Is everybody clear with the
And,
architecture?
please, can you say how you calculate the license again?
Yeah, I will show that to you in practice itself. All right, so let me quickly take the attendance and I will try to talk about the license today itself. All right, I will tell you guys. So can you all please quickly log on to
Yeah,
Magic?
Shruti, before that, I have one question here.
Yes.
Yeah, is there any advantage of forwarding all the universal logs to heavy forwarder?
See, that's what, right? It depends on the organization. If they want to filter out the data, so why is because it is a universal forwarder is a very small piece of software, right? Very small piece of software. I don't need to install heavy forwarder on each system. So what they do, whichever system they want to monitor, they'll just install universal forwarders. Since universal forwarders cannot do the parsing, all the logs will be pushed to heavy forwarder. Heavy
So,
forwarder does the parsing.
so anyhow, indexer is going to do the parsing, right? So what is the use of forwarding again those logs to heavy forwarder and then
So
for indexing?
exactly. So that's what when I talked about licensing. So once you send everything to the indexer, it does all the job and it will index the data. So if at all I parse everything and send the data to indexer, it will just index the data. That is how the license is calculated. I come to the license part, you might understand it better.
So advantage will be reducing the license cost here, right? When we use
License
heavy
part,
forward.
yes, you can filter out unwanted data, right? You can just get, yeah, correct. You can
So it will
just
be
get,
reduce the cost.
yes. Not only that, like I said, right? You can also like restrict the amount of data that is flowing to the indexer from here itself, from the heavy
Okay.
forwarder itself.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll explain how licensing works. So, magic.socexperts.com, please log in. Let me know once you guys have logged in. I'm taking the attendance, guys. Those of you have probably fallen asleep, please get up.
Will we able to do some practical today, like with Splunk, or it is going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah,
Because
I think,
today is
yeah.
Holi in India, and like we are waiting to celebrate Holi. Holi festival is there today.
Oh, I'm
I
so
think
sorry.
all of
Yes,
us.
yes, yes. Happy Holi.
So maybe like we can do
Class tomorrow?
practical from tomorrow.
You want to have a class tomorrow?
Not tomorrow, sorry, next day means Monday.
Monday. No, I'm
Tomorrow is the
asking
day.
if you guys want to have a 1 hour class tomorrow, we can think about it. But if everybody wants it, not
Definitely yes, from my
uh,
end.
just let me
Yeah.
know if you want to have a class tomorrow, just an hour's class. Probably I can just explain and then you guys can practice
Yeah,
later.
Shruti,
That
but
is
we don't to
No.
You can
see,
take
we'll
maybe
start the class in like mid-afternoon or evening. We don't start
No.
morning.
You have engagement.
see
no, no, let's
regular
not get into this loop again. Let's
regular
not get
class.
into this loop again. I shouldn't have asked this question. No.
No,
So,
no, it may be
multiple,
like na extra class, like regular class. Maybe people will not be able to join. Like
yeah.
some people, extra class kind of thing
No,
can
see,
be happen like where we can interact and
Okay, so what I will do, I'm going to leave you guys after the class. You can discuss over here if you want a class for an hour or so, whichever, whatever time you want. Just if you guys decide upon a time, let me know in IST, please. I always get confused. So IST, drop me a message on WhatsApp. I am ready from my end to schedule a class tomorrow. So okay. So shall I initiate the attendance? Has everybody logged in?
Yes, Stuti.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I've initiated the attendance from my end. You guys have probably 5 minutes.
Done, Stuti.
Super.
Done.
Done.
Hello, Stuti.
Yes.
I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you show me the image? Yeah. In that forwarder, what is the role of then API? Just little bit.
So what happens is, let's say, for example sake, right? We are using some third-party software. Okay. We are using a third-party software, which is some application that we are using. All right. And we have to get logs from this application also onto our Splunk because we want to monitor. Okay. So probably there might be a chance that we won't be able to install a particular what do you call that agent on that software because it is a third party, it's not managed by us. All right, so what do I do? My Splunk, being a software application, it has to talk to another application. Correct? One application talking to another application.
Okay.
So that's when I use API. So what does API do? It is actually behind this is a query, a small piece of code to fetch some kind of information. So let's say some people are logging into this application day in and day out. They're performing some task. All right. So all of those things will be logged somewhere, right? That will be logged somewhere, right? So when people log in, when people do some activity, everything will be logged somewhere. And let's say I want to monitor this login activity. Okay. So what do I tell? I contact these people. All right. I'll ask them for a API documentation.
Okay.
So every tool will have a API documentation. Okay. It is available in the internet as well. Okay. So what do these people do? They will use that particular query which helps me to get only the login information. So that will be my API query. That means I'm querying this particular application to get only the login details. All right. So I query that and I will get only that detail onto my Splunk. So I'm not installing anything over here. It is just a query, API query that this Splunk sends and you get the details. That's all.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Is this dot connection that what you explained now? Is that the same way?
Sorry, what connection?
Dots connection you explained some other day.
Dots
Yesterday.
connection. Connect the dots.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
No, connect the dots is nothing but, see, I use it's a figure of speech called connecting the dots. It's nothing but, it is just that when you are building up a story, right? Like I told about the investigation officer, right? He tries to connect the dots. That means he tries to figure out, if one event is related to another event, if that event is related to another event. So let's say, for example, you know, probably you've lied in your house telling that, you're going to a friend's place. But in fact, you've gone for a movie. Maybe your parents get a call telling that, I saw your son or daughter near some mall. Right then, probably they also get to know, probably while washing your clothes or something, they get a ticket from a movie theater. What does your parents do? They try to connect the dot. Hey, I found this ticket and I also was told by someone else that they were seen in a mall. So what do the parents do? They try to connect those two events. this mall, this theater, this movie. So they didn't go to a friend's place. They had gone to a movie. What are they doing? They're trying to connect the dots. That means they're trying to connect those various events.
Yeah, okay.
That is what I meant about connecting the dots. That's it.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Shruti.
Okay, all right. So attendance done, guys? Everybody? Yes, no, maybe?
Uh,
Attendance?
Yes. Yes, Shruti.
Yeah, done.
Yes, it is done.
Yeah, done.
Hello, Shruti.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Who is architecturing that Splunk? Means it is
I'm
a
sorry.
L2, L3, or anybody, any another person who is design that architecture.
They would have already set up this in your organizations, right? Only when you're starting up from the scratch, if you're there, you will be involved in each and every step. But let's say you have got a new server set up and you have to get the logs from that. So probably even L1, not L1 usually, L2 and higher up will be given a chance. But that doesn't mean L1 cannot learn. They can also tag along, learn about it. So what you will be given a task to install, let's say it is server something managed by your SOC team. So you can always install the forwarder on that machine and try to get it onto the indexer.
Okay.
And of course, in some organizations, when you're trying to upgrade your Splunk version, update your Splunk version, so everybody works as a team to upgrade the version, right? So that way you'll also get to know how many indexers are there in your organization, how many search heads are there, right? So architecture to build it from the scratch, then you have to be in the organization, or when someone is setting up SOC from the scratch. But otherwise it'll be mostly be set up. You will just get a chance to install forwarders and forward it to indexers.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
That's all
Shruti,
right.
can you explain about search heads?
You want me to explain about search head? Okay. So see, search head is nothing but like your Google search. How do you use Google search? You type something and Google fetches the data. You type something, Google fetches the data, right? So if I type admin, okay, I'm going to search for last 7 days. This is a very simple example I'm giving, okay? Right? I'm searching something. It is fetching back the information. Very similar to your Google search, but it will only search whatever is there in Splunk. If I search something called lion, of course, even if I select all time, there's nothing called lion, so it won't fetch any data. What am I doing here? Search, like your Google search, whatever logs are there, which is logging onto your Splunk, whatever logs you have stored in your SIEM, in your indexers, only that you can search. All right. So what a search head does is like a tool which is going to help you to talk to the indexer to fetch the data. Now let's say there is some analysis that you have to do, and you have to analyze the firewall logs. So what do I do? I'm just going to give index is equal to firewall. I've named it as firewall. Now don't tell that, how am I getting for firewall? I've already named it as firewall. Okay, so how am I going to search? I'm going to tell, hey, it is an index. I've labeled it as firewall. Have given a label for all the firewall logs as firewall. So can you please fetch me firewall logs? So this is what my query will be. Simple query, right? And I know what time it was. So I'm going to put all time and I'm going to search. So I'll get all the logs with respect to firewall. Okay. Your search head is nothing but what do you call an interface which helps you to talk to the indexer. Why? Because all the data is stored in this green box, whatever you see, the database. And to talk to the database, you need an interface, right? So that is your search head, using which you can talk to the database, get the queries, or you can get the results. Okay, and it is also, I mean, it's user friendly, right? If at all you want to create any users, you can make use of this, right? See here, if you want to create any users, you can go ahead, create users. A lot of things can be done, but I'm just telling you the base use of a search head. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah, clear.
Yes, Shruti. Thank you.
Everybody? Everybody?
I have one doubt, Stuti.
Yes, please.
Like for Splunk admin who take care of installations and all, and for analyst, so there is only one portals, right? This is the only. So it,
Yeah, so analyst will be mostly working on search heads, only this. And your admins will take care about integration, getting the logs and all of it. If at all there's some error with the Splunk tool also, everything will be taken care by Splunk admin. If you have a separate team, in my organization, no separating, we do both the work.
okay, thanks.
But you are right. If there is a clear cut separation of duties, then you will definitely have a Splunk admin team. The admin part, anything about the tool will be taken care by the admin part. We just have to sit and work on alerts. I mean, the analyst has to sit and work on alerts. The Splunk admin will take care of the architecture part, the tool part, everything.
Okay.
All right. So Syed, Pooja, uh, sorry, let me call out the names. Mohammed, Gaurav, Shweta, Banu, Ratan, Vineet. You guys are clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay. So let's see. Uh, let's move on to the next few things. This is the same thing which I've told, right? I've just put it in some, or I was just explaining it this way. That's it. So what does your heavy forward do? It will eliminate, right? Discard the data which is not required. That is your parsing. It does all the parsing. Your forwarder will just forward the data. And what does your indexer do? It will store the data. That is, it is writing the data to a index. It will also parse, normalize, all of that is done. And finally, it is going to store, right? It is going to store somewhere, right? It might name all of this. It will label the logs, and it is going to index, right? Index is, you're just labeling it, and then it is going to write all of it to a something called as buckets. Okay, this is another important question that could be asked in the interviews, since you guys are showing a little bit of experience. What are the buckets in Splunk? Okay, what are the different buckets in Splunk? That could also be a question. So what is buckets? Buckets is nothing but, I already told you what happens here. The data gets stored, right? The data gets stored. Once it names everything, once it names it as AV, DNS, network, whatever, the naming is left to you guys, right? But you have to go and store it somewhere, right? That storage, right? It is called as buckets. So what are these buckets? There are few which is important. It is called hot bucket. I better use some other thing. All right. So there is something called as hot bucket. There's something called as warm bucket. There's something called as cold. Then you have frozen. Sorry, and then you have HAWED, thawed. So what are these? These are nothing but, I've told you, right? It is going to go and store it somewhere, right? That is nothing but it stores everything in buckets. Okay, this name is called as buckets. That's it. So what happens in hot bucket is, you know, hot is what hot is means fresh, right? We say hot jalebi, fresh jalebi, right? Jalebi is a sweet dish. Sorry, I keep forgetting there are people from other parts. So yeah, hot is nothing but we relate to something as fresh, right? So as soon as we start getting the logs, the recent logs, right? The recent logs or the new logs will be stored in something called as hot bucket, or freshly brewed coffee hot, right? So sorry, I few, right?
Latest.
Sorry, what am I doing? New, fresh. Yeah, latest, whatever. Correct? Latest, latest. All of this is stored in something. The name is called as hot bucket. All right. So once all the fresh data is stored in hot, right? What happens to the older data? It gets. Please use this word called rolling. Rolling is nothing but moving the data. Rolling is nothing but moving the data, but you don't have to use the word, the older logs are moved to warm. Always use the word rolling. It is rolled to the warm bucket because that is the Splunk terminology. If you use these keywords, you are making an impression that you know these things. All right, that's the reason. Use these words. Don't use words like agent. Use Splunk universal forwarder, right? So yeah, so what happens to the older data? It rolls to a next bucket called as warm. All right, these are also not very new, but it has the previous, I mean a little bit older data. What is the newest data? A little bit older data is what will be in warm. Okay. And similarly, very old data gets rolled to a bucket called as cold bucket. Okay. All the data from here gets rolled. The older data from here gets rolled to something called as cold bucket. Okay. Let's say all of these things, what you can do is there are a couple of configuration that you can do on your indexer. What is that a configuration? You can tell, let's say it is either through the size of the data and the time of the data that you can set it up. Okay, let's say if the size if the size reaches, let's say 30 GB, 30 GB, then roll it to the next bucket. Or you can tell, if at all, the date is more than 90 days. If at all, the logs are more than 90 days, then move it to warm bucket. So any log that is greater than 90 days will be stored in warm bucket. And even over here, you can tell, okay, anything more than 100 days, right? Please move it to cold bucket. So everything will be moved to cold bucket. It can also be with respect to the size of the data. 30 GB, 20 GB, 40 GB, 50 GB, anything. Okay, so when it reaches that number of days or the amount of data, it will be moved to the next bucket. Okay, so when we are performing the search, right, we are searching the data, right? So I'm searching all time. So if you see searching all time, so this is probably in last August 2021. All right. So till cold, whatever logs are stored till cold bucket, I can search from my search head. Even 1-year-old data, if at all your organization is storing in cold, all right, let's say any logs greater than 300 days, or less than whatever 365 days, store it in cold. That means I can search all the data which is older than 300 days also. Something more than this, apart from cold, hot, warm, and cold, anything more than that will be, if at all you configure it to move it to frozen, it will be sent to frozen. And in frozen, what happens? By default, Splunk will delete it. The indexer by default will delete it. So anything greater than 365 days, by default, the indexer will delete it. Okay, but there might be a chance that your organization would want to save that or store that log. All right, so that is when what happens, you can change that configuration, you can add a external disk, right? Archive all that data. Archive is what? You're not storing this data. Whatever is there in your frozen cannot be searched. It cannot be searched. You are just keeping it in some place so that someday if it is required, then you're going to move it to thawed. Thawed is nothing but what happens in frozen. I told you it is going to by default delete it. But if you do not want to delete it, right, you can change the configuration. You can archive it. Archive is what? Your archive folders, old documents, you store it somewhere, right? You're archiving it because day in and day out you don't use this, you just probably save it for some day, right? So you're going to archive it, and let's say for some day you want to go back to these old logs and check. That's when, if you get the logs out from archiving, there is another process for that. Thawing, that's called thawing. All right, that is called thawing. All right, and then from archive, if you're going to bring it alive, then it is going to move to some bucket called thawed bucket, and from here you can search. From here you can search. Did you understand? I'll explain that again. So the fresh logs are stored in something called hot bucket, and you can configure however you want, all right, depending on the data or the days. All right, if it reaches more than 30 days or 90 days, you ask it to roll it to the next bucket. So the older data keeps going to the next bucket reaches cold. The very old data greater than 1 year, right, you're going to archive it. So once you archive, what are you doing? You're keeping it in a trunk. You're going to push it in the attic. You're not going to view it for next, I don't know, however long. You are having it for some day, just for that someday might come. You might need those logs. You might need those items, right? So that's the reason you're going to archive it. And probably someday, there was some old investigation that people have dug up, and you need the logs. That time what do? We have to remove it from the archive, right? The process is called thawing. You remove it from the archive, it moves to a different bucket called as thawed bucket, and from thawed you can search. You can search it. When I say search, you can search using a search head, but anything that is moved to archive cannot be searched. Is that clear?
Okay, I got a question here. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
This hot, warm, and cold, it is part of indexer.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
What about frozen? It is external.
Yeah, you can attach a different external storage. You can add a different storage, not external. You can add a different storage. You can mount a different storage device. You can archive everything over there. That will not be searchable.
Okay, it will be completely out of indexer, right?
Yeah. Out of indexer, yes.
Again, if it is thawed, means it is coming back to indexer.
Coming back, yes.
Okay.
Is this clear, everybody?
Yeah,
Chandru,
clear.
Syed, Ratan?
Yes.
Pakka, everybody
Yes,
clear?
today clear. Clear.
Sorry, I forgot. The storage of DNS logs in one database is called DNS bucket. days can be customized by us or is default. So yeah, this can be customized by us. All right, the timing, the size, it can be customized by us. So no. So the bucket. So this is how do I tell? The bucket name is called hot bucket, and within which you can have DNS logs, firewall logs, whatever logs. You have already labeled it. So what did I tell? When you are moving your house, right? When you're moving your house, you're going to have different boxes, right? You're going to label the box and then you're going to dump it in that big truck, right? You're going to dump it in the big truck, correct? Let's say the most important things, right? Very fragile or whatever things. Okay, I'm just giving an example. All right, you have 2 3 trucks. All right, first is moved in a different truck which has lot of safety and stuff. All right, but still you have boxes here which says kitchen, which says living room, which says study, etc. Right, everything is moved into a bucket. All right, this is your storage. But when you're storing, you have to label it and store, right? You have to label it and store. The whole bucket is called as a warm bucket, within which you have these boxes of logs, which is named, which is what you call named accordingly. Whatever you want, that is named and it is pushed. Is that clear, Deepak? Third, yeah. Third, how to initiate and mechanism moving logs from. So that will all be done in the indexer level. At the indexer, you have indexer, right? There are some configuration files on your indexers, all right, which will talk about, moving these rolling out into different buckets. That will be done on your indexers.
I have a doubt here. One small doubt.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Indexer can be like, for example, if you have a Splunk, so indexer is attached to it, right? So like, is there any way that we can use external indexer like storage devices?
Store, see, on the in the end, you're going to install this on particular server, right? To that server, you can mount a what do you call it? Storage.
Any
Yeah.
storage? Okay, okay, got it.
I'll quickly tell you one more thing, all right? Why I asked you guys to install a Splunk Enterprise and not a Splunk, what do you call, Universal Forwarder? If you have noticed, using Splunk Enterprise, I added the data, that CSV data. We also saw how indexing was done. I also saw I'm also using search head. Yes or no? I'm doing all these three, isn't it, from Splunk Enterprise? Yes or no?
Yes.
I
Yes.
added the data. You
Yes.
saw how it was normalized and parsed, and now I'm searching the data, isn't it? So a Splunk Enterprise, you see this, where is it? Splunk Enterprise. Yeah. When you see the Splunk Enterprise, it says, I'll talk about licensing tomorrow if we have a class or on Monday. Okay. So Splunk Enterprise does indexing. Whenever you see this, this is what the license I was talking about. Okay. So its job, it is a standalone. When you say standalone, it does all the job for you. You can add the data, you can use it as an indexer, you can use it as a heavy forwarder, you can use it as a search head. So all of these components, if you want to install a search head, you have to use a Splunk Enterprise. If it is a indexer, also it is a Splunk Enterprise, right? If it's a heavy forwarder, it is also a Splunk Enterprise. Is that clear? So in your
Yeah, clear.
organization, you will install, not just one like this. You will have multiple servers. All right. You won't have just one indexer. What if that indexer goes down, right? You need to have high availability, right? You need to make sure that availability is there. That's why you see 3 indexers, right? For an example, you will have 3 different servers on which you install indexers, When I say indexer, that is nothing but your Splunk enterprise, and configure it to act as only parsing and normalizing and indexing. You won't be able to search using that. You won't be able to search using these indexers. You may or you may not, but usually, indexers will be set up only to normalize, parse, and index the data. All right. So when we purchase the license, all right, when you tell this requirement to these Splunk guys, right, they will suggest, all right, accordingly, you can set up in your organization. Okay, so that's the only reason I asked you guys to install Splunk Enterprise, so that this is, since we are only practicing, right? We're only practicing. Even in my lab, I'm just going to install Universal Forwarder on a different device and only use Splunk Enterprise to, for indexing as well as searching. Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, Stuti.
Everybody clear
Clear.
here?
Yeah, clear.
Yes.
No doubts? Any doubts, please do let me know. Or have we decided the timings for lab? Yes, I think we have decided. But before that, just let me know if you need a class tomorrow. Do ping me on WhatsApp. Anytime that you guys want, I will manage my timings accordingly. Okay, so please do let me know if you want a class tomorrow.
See,
Meanwhile,
tomorrow,
what you guys can do is sorry to interrupt. One small activity, please install this on your systems. It is a very simple installation. All right. Try to install it on your machines. Okay. And once you install, I want you guys to do something. What is that something? Please look at this carefully. All right. Go to Splunk Enterprise, click on this, go to add data, click on add data. All right. There is something called monitoring. You see monitor? Click on monitor. When you click on monitor, this is a Linux machine, so I don't think you will see. Let me see if it's a Linux machine. Yeah, I've installed it on a Linux machine. But when you guys click on add data, and when you click on monitor, right, you will get your Windows event viewer logs. When you click on files and directories, or you might get some other option for Windows. All right. Whatever you want to monitor, just click on that. You will get all the logs over here. I mean, logs as in you will get the option. What from Windows event that you want to monitor. You can just select that, go to next, give a name for the index. All right. And then do a next. That's it. So for people who are using Linux, just go to file and directory, whatever, browse, select whichever a folder that you want to monitor. All right. We had the logs in /var/logs, right? /var. I think one of you were using Ubuntu machine or something. So I'm just going to say audit log and select, right? It is going to pick up that location. But for Windows, it is very, very simple. You will get to know as soon as you select the option, right? It will ask you what kind of logs you want to monitor. Select those options. Go to next. It will ask you to give a name to that log, whatever name you want, Windows logs or default, main index, whatever index you want. Select that, review it. All right, can you guys do this as an assignment or an activity, please?
In Windows, if we search browse, it's asking to select the directory like C, D, E.
Can you please share your screen? I think, or can you please post the screenshot in the group so that everybody will
I
see?
can share. I think don't have option to share this.
Yeah, 1 second. What I will do, I will give that option to everybody, everyone. Yeah, it's done. Can you please check now?
Okay.
Yeah, share your screen.
So after installing this Splunk agent, this is an agent or whatever. So like this is a fully like
It's a standalone.
Independent.
It's a full thing. Yes.
Standalone. Okay,
Standalone.
independent way.
Yes. So
Like
it
it's
does
not
your
like that.
collection.
Like it's not like that. We have installed a Splunk server,
No,
then
no, no,
we are
no,
going
no.
to connect.
It's no.
So if we even we are, I'm going to install it on Windows 10 machine.
Yeah.
So like it's a server. Like it's working as a server, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I in now in my full network, like entire network, suppose I have a 5 computer in my network in my lab, so I can install it on one Windows 10 machine, then I can add like any machine to
You
that,
can
right?
install universal forwarders on different machine,
Mm-hmm. No,
and then you
like
can
Can
connect it to this.
can I
can you
not
see
do?
my screen?
No, can I
Yeah.
not do
Yeah.
like that? Like see, I have installed on Windows 10. Okay, then can I add other machines in that, or
Ye-
how? What is the process?
1 second, Kedar. 1 second, I'll get back to you. Rahul, since you're sharing the screen, guys, click on local event logs. So what does it say? See the small description below that. It says collect local events, right? Event logs from this machine. So here you see, remember seeing this application log, security logs. Remember this? From where is this? From your
Event
Windows
viewer.
Yeah,
event
that's
Yeah.
viewer.
fine.
Correct? Can you please take a screenshot of this, post it in the WhatsApp or Teams for others' reference?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please do that so that others can also follow. So it is local event logs. I am getting files in directory because in Linux it's all files in directory, right? So
Okay.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
Splunk is installed on a Linux machine. That's the reason I'm not getting the Windows event viewer logs. That's why.
yeah, that's
You guys
fine.
have
That's
to
fine.
use collect logs. Okay.
We
Is
have to
that
click.
clear?
Yeah, that's fine. But can you answer that? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I was
coming,
asking
coming.
how
Kedar, just give me one second.
that has been set up in the real
Yeah,
scenario,
just give me 1 second, please. I'll just finish this. So,
because we are
guys,
lacking for time
yeah,
already.
one moment. All right. So this is for Windows only. For Linux-based machines, you will not get this. You will see whatever I had got. You might get something like files in directories. Okay. Now coming back to Kedar. Yes. So, sir, on your you are saying you have a Windows 10 machine, your laptop, where you have installed Splunk Enterprise, right? And you have 5 more machines from where you want to monitor the logs.
Yeah.
So, when you want to monitor the logs, like I've already explained, we have to install Splunk Universal Forwarder on those 5 other machines.
Okay.
Install Universal Forwarder on those machines, which I'll be
Okay.
showing it to you guys if we have a class tomorrow or on Monday, and then give the delivery address. It'll ask you for the end address,
Okay.
indexer
Mm-hmm.
address.
Mm-hmm.
That will, sorry, were you saying something?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so in that delivery address or your receiver indexer address, you have to give the IP address of your private IP address of your machine.
Like a Splunk Enterprise machine where I have installed
Yes,
Splunk Enterprise, right?
yes. And
So
for that
that
to happen, all these 6 machines
okay.
should be in the same network.
Okay. So this universal forwarder working as a like as a agent then, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that is the
So that
agent.
okay, universal photo and Splunk Enterprise. Like suppose I am installing this Splunk Enterprise, so that is working as a server and as a forward, both the roles
Yeah,
it is
it
playing.
now in this scenario, it is acting as a standalone. It is an indexer, it
Standalone,
is a search head. It can also
everything.
collect logs.
So in the like real time scenario in enterprise like networks, how we do that? Like we follow the same. Like on one machine, like we install this enterprise, then on another machines we install the forwarder. That's all for
Yes.
Windows and
So
Linux.
depending on how many indexers that you want, if at all you want 3 indexers, you're
Okay.
going to set up 3 different servers, install Splunk Enterprise on that, make
Okay,
that
got it.
as only as indexers, no search capability. You're going
Mm-hmm.
to install it. Let's say
I
you
have
want
it.
another server, you have another server, install Splunk Enterprise on that, and it will do only the searching, not indexing,
Okay.
right? Everywhere you're
But
going to install Splunk Enterprise itself, except for Universal Forwarder, which is like your agent.
Okay. No, but I did not understand last statement. What you
No, if
told,
it
like.
So the Splunk Enterprise, you
Hmm.
when you buy this from the Splunk, right? You will also have the capability to change whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be acting as only as a search head, it will act only as a search head. It will not do the indexing part. It will not be a standalone. That is what I meant in the organization. You will have separate servers. You will have separate search heads, separate indexers, separate
Okay,
logs.
okay. So when we install Splunk Enterprise, then we tell that that time
Yes,
what we are
yes,
going to do with this.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
So we install multiple server in the high availability mode with different kind of roles
yes,
in
yes,
the bigger enterprise, and
yes.
the firewall and other devices we add them.
Yeah,
How we
you
do
push
that?
the logs onto the syslog, install a universal forwarder on a syslog, and get the log.
Okay, got it, got it. So other devices we use the syslog server.
Yes.
Okay.
Ruth, I'm so sorry. I got caught up. Yes, local system, Nivedita has already answered. Thank you very much. Sorry, I missed your message.
So I think we can leave now for regular class because it's 9:15.
Yeah, see, Kedar, whoever wants to leave, they can leave.
Okay.
I'll be
Okay.
here because people might have doubts. I'll
Yeah,
be
yeah, yeah,
just
fine. So in nothing new you will be teaching now, no?
no, no. Only if they have doubts, I'm just going to clear it.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. So, guys, if anybody has doubts, any other doubts, please do let me know. I'll be here. Any doubts? Or
Yeah,
is all clear?
you,
Hello, Stuti.
yeah, this is
Yes,
you
yes.
were
Yeah, can you
talking about.
please?
Oh, I hear two people
Sorry.
talking. I don't know who is who.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
You were talking about the how license is calculated. You said it's by usage of data, but you didn't finish the statement.
Sorry, which statement? I'm so sorry. What did I miss?
You said license is calculated based on data usage.
License, right? I'll talk about license on Monday. Is that all right?
Oh,
Because there is
okay,
some calculation which I have to show to you guys. So that's the reason.
okay,
Uh,
okay, that's fine.
Hello, Stuti.
And the time got extended. I didn't realize. Yes, yes.
Yeah, can you please explain the bucket again?
Sure, I can explain the bucket again. One second. This is the screenshot. Okay. Yeah, bucket. Let me quickly share my screen. So what happens in bucket is, so we are getting the data onto Splunk, right? That much you understood, right? We're getting the data onto the Splunk. So in your organization, day in and day out, the logs are being sent to Splunk. You keep getting the logs. So imagine the amount of logs that your organization, your Splunk will be getting, right? So everything you can't store it in one place. The bucket will overflow, just like our actual buckets. If the water keeps flowing, right, there's a threshold, right, after which it starts to overflow. Similarly, right, as soon as you get the fresh logs, everything gets start storing into something called as a hot bucket. Okay, but I can't keep storing data over here. After a period of time, it has to move to a different bucket, right? That is called as a warm bucket. That means some older data, the older data gets moved on to the warm bucket. That means it gets rolled to a different bucket called warm bucket. Why is it rolling? Because we are getting logs, a lot of logs, right? So the older data gets moved to warm. And who defines this? You can define it in the what you call in the configuration, indexer configuration. You can tell if at all the logs are more than 30 days, move it to the warm bucket. Okay, so as soon as the logs it is more than 30 days, it rolls to the warm bucket. Even in warm bucket, you might have told anything greater than 100 days, move it to cold bucket. So the logs, older logs, okay, very old logs, more than 100 days, will be moved to cold bucket. So I give an example of index is equal to firewall, right? Because firewall, I have very old data. So up to, if I check all time, that's somewhere in August, right? Let's say I've told anything greater than 90 days, move it to cold bucket. Probably these logs, it is not, I'm just giving an example. These logs are moved to cold bucket. Why? Because this is very old data. Let's think this is 2020 data, very old data. All right. But I'm still able to search because it is stored in cold. But if at all I say any logs which is greater than 365 days, move it to frozen. If I say any log which is greater than 365 days, move it to frozen, by default, indexer will delete that particular log. Delete that, delete all those logs. But we don't want that to happen, right? So we go ahead and archive the data. Archive is what? You want to add another storage device. Okay, like how you add what do you call this, pen drive, right? Onto your laptops, you store everything on your pen drive or your hard disk, external hard disk. Very much similar to that. You're going to attach another device, store all the logs there, and you're going to keep quiet. Why? Because we don't want to use it. We are just storing it for some XYZ day that we are not aware even if it will come or not. We are just storing it for some day. Okay, so it is stored in archive. Now let's say there is some investigation which requires logs which is greater than 365 days. So where is my log? It is in archive. I have to move it because from archive I can't search. Now this is a very simple example. So let's say your laptop has a very small space. Okay, you don't have enough space on your laptop. So there are a couple of movies, your favorite movies. Okay, you have stored it in your pen drive. You have stored it in your pen drive and you have kept it aside. But you want to watch a movie. Can you watch a movie on your laptop? Unless and until you have the pen drive, can you watch a movie? That favorite movie of yours?
No,
Is it searchable in your laptop? It is not searchable because it
not
is not
searchable.
there in your laptop. Because why? I have archived it, right? So whatever is there in your archive, you can't search. That means I can't search using my search head. Whatever is there till your code can be searched. Why? Because this archive is archived onto a different device and it cannot be searched. Now, if you have to make this searchable, you have to follow a process that is called thawing. You don't have to worry about how it is all done. All right. You have to remove it from the archive. It is called thawing and it will be moved to a different bucket called as thawed bucket. Okay. When you move it to a bucket called thawed bucket, very old data, you can search from this old data. To make it such, you have to remove it from archival. The process is called thawing. It moves to a bucket called thawed, and from there you can search. Clear now?
Yeah, clear.
All right. In Naukri, what are the roles we can apply? Only SOC analyst job, threat intelligence for forensic security analyst, cloud infrastructure analyst, cloud security analyst, analyst, forensic, no. Threat intel also you can. Forensic, why I said no? Because there are a lot of tools involved in forensics, right? You need to know, all of those. So forensics depends. Go through the responsibilities, right? If you want to apply for forensics, you need to learn a lot of tools, other tools. Okay, so that's to answer Deepak's question. Any other doubts? Any other doubts, guys?
Yes. Hello. Stupa.
Yes. Who is that?
Nivedita.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Can
get
you
your
able
name.
to hear
Sorry.
me? Nivedita.
Nivedita. Yeah, Nivedita, tell me.
Yes. So at the end of this, when we are concluding, can you just explain the normal how it will be set up, the Splunk tool in any diagram, or if you have any demo, like mm, like we have like a monitoring tools, right?
If we
Huh.
know like from where to where it will fetch like that, we just want to have will be better for understanding.
I will show that to you when we start the practicals.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to start the
Okay.
practicals today, but before I
Hmm.
start the practicals, we have to set up the lab, right? We will set up the lab.
Yes.
So while setting up the lab, I'll tell you where is what device, which device are we setting up what. I will tell all of those things to you.
Oh, okay. Thank
Anything else from anybody? Yes, no, maybe.
Shruti,
Hello. Yes.
uh, actually, I have installed Splunk. Okay, after installing, I opened it.
Uh-huh.
So there I'm seeing checkbox, accept
Can you
license
share your
agreement.
screen? Can you share your screen, please? You have
Yes.
accepted the license and then you have gone ahead, right? Accept the license.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so
Can you share your
after,
screen?
okay, just a second.
Hi, madam. Can you explain the job role of analyst and cybersecurity admin and cybersecurity engineer?
Admin and engineer would be more or less the same. They take care of the the tool part. So any anything to do with the tool, right? Keep sharing, Chandru. I will check. Keep sharing. All right. Anything to do with the tool. Let's say about the licensing part, the indexing part, right? All of these things, your fine tuning part of your alerts, all of these things, or let's say some error, your Splunk is facing some kind of slowness, indexing is an issue. All these things are taken care by Splunk engineers or admins.
Okay.
All right. But as analysts, like the name suggests, right? We are there. I mean, analyst job is to analyze the alerts, check if there is anything abnormal, suspicious, try to monitor around those, try to build alerts, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Work on alerts, various alerts.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem.
Hello, man.
Yes, Chandru. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're sharing. Who's
Sorry,
saying?
man. Yeah,
Hi,
I want to
Chandru.
ask a question. If you uploaded some files into your indexes, is it possible for you to delete? And if you're going to delete, what's the process of going around it to delete?
You were talking about deletion of the log itself.
Yes.
Uh, if you have to delete the log, yeah, you can definitely delete the log, whichever you do not want. You can delete the log. But having said that, you can delete it. There are two things, right? If at all, let's say you're getting the logs from one device, all right, you can't delete go if you want to if you
Not
don't
from a
want the
device,
logs
uploaded from a file.
uploaded on Splunk.
Uploaded file, yes.
Yeah, you can do it from the back end. From the back end, you can. So from the back end, you can delete those database files. Yes, you can.
Okay, maybe I'll have to talk to you from. I'll talk to you off the line, offline.
Yeah, sure, we can. We can.
Okay,
Do let me
thank
know.
you.
No problem.
Shruti, can we go with this? I have clicked on checkbox and now
Huh.
I need to do
Yes.
next, but
I can't really see it very clearly. One second. Let me just. Huh. Correct. Go to next. You can go to next. Customize option. If you customize option, it will just click on customize option. It will just ask you the path. See,
okay,
just the path. That's it. So you can just go to next. No problem.
okay, I can go with next.
Yeah, you can go with next.
Okay, then
Local
it's
system.
local. Okay,
Some username and password you can set up.
okay. Username cannot contain showing. Oh, mean I need to give this while I created
You
Splunk
can just
account.
give something like anything, like your admin. Yeah, anything. That is left to you. Give a username as admin or anything that you want. Next.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. As simple as that. Next, go ahead and monitor the logs from your device.
Sure.
Okay. Any other doubts?
Stuti, can you show me how to configure heavy forwarder in Splunk Enterprise?
We are setting up Splunk Enterprise, right? This is Splunk Enterprise. Like I said, this acts like your heavy forwarder. This is your indexer. This is your search head. So whatever you saw Chandru doing, that is nothing but Splunk Enterprise. That is what you have to install on your laptops, even in your organization, right? It will be the same.
Okay.
But we will see how universal forwarder is going to be different. I will show you the installation of a universal forwarder. Okay. Yes, no? Any other doubts, guys? Are we good here? Everybody? Any other doubts?
Yeah, no doubt, Suti.
No doubts? Okay. Can we close the session in that case?
Yeah.
Install to. Super. If you guys want to, you can just click on add data. Try to monitor your own logs. Just see how just understand the look and feel of Splunk Enterprise. All right. And try to discuss if at all you need a class tomorrow. We can have a short class tomorrow wherein we can set up the Splunk lab. Okay, cool.
Okay, Suti.
Okay, all right. Chandru, would you, if possible, please set up. Chandru, as in what? You want me to be there till it sets up, or I mean, till it is installed or something?
And no, Shruti. I say it for tomorrow.
Yeah, I can set it up. You guys have to tell me. You guys have to decide the time and tell me.
Okay.
All right, couple of you, please take a lead on this. Only if all of you agree, I'll have a call. Otherwise, no need.
Okay, fine.
Okay. All right, guys. See you then. Happy weekend if you're not meeting tomorrow. So, bye.
Yeah, happy
Bye,
weekend.
Suti.
Bye.
Thank you
Okay,
and
bye
happy
bye.
weekend. You.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a nice evening. Have a good day. Bye.